With 250,000 subscribers, it's safe to say you've heard of SFO Grimhammer. It's been in the top 10 mods for Total War Warhammer II since its release, and today I'm going to talk with the head of the SFO team, Venris.
I should say something at that moment, don't I?
Today's mod highlight is sponsored by Black Desert Online, and the next 30 seconds allows me to truly support the SFO team by becoming a top-tier patron for the next month. Black Desert Online is a beautifully designed open-world MMO game with recently remastered graphics. It combines an amazing combat system with skill-based multiplayer and one of the most detailed character creation systems in gaming. Black Desert Online is a buy once and play forever game, as all its updates are free, and to tempt you into trying it, try clicking the link in the description below to enable a 7-day free trial. You can hop into one of the new season servers, which reset every 3 months, so you won't get steamrolled by guys that have been playing for years. And unlike regular servers, you get double combat XP and level faster. And since you can try it for free, there's no danger in checking it out. And for those that don't know, what is SFO Grimhammer?
It's a full game overhaul that touches almost every aspect of the vanilla game. It's not like an entirely new game, I would call it more like Vanilla Plus.
Would you consider yourself the lead modder on the SFO team?
Yes, I'm modding around 90% of the mod that is on workshop right now.
Yeah, I noticed an accent there. What is that, Australian?
It's Polish.
That was a joke, I was messing with you.
I'm not Major or Legend of Total War.
So when you're designing things for the game, do you try and stay true to CA's spirit and vision, or are you focusing more on tabletop or lore or fun?
In the past we were making a mod more based on vanilla, so creative assembly vision, but right now we have entirely own balance for almost everything, so we are more like a bridge between lore and tabletop, because many of our changes, ideas, mechanics are based straight from lore or tabletop.
I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of the changes that Grimhammer makes here, there's just too many, but if you're interested to know the details, H for Havoc has an excellent breakdown that I'll link up above, and the visuals for this video are pulled directly from his. One of the coolest things about SFO Grimhammer is how you guys alter and expand on existing faction mechanics. What's your favorite mechanic that you've done?
This is like a very hard topic because SFO is a mod that is evolving. It's right now got almost 3 years in making, and I still don't consider it finished. Like, one of the mechanics that I really like, and is very small mechanic, is a total rework of Public Order. As you know, Public Order is almost useless in vanilla because it's a way to farm rebellions right now, and in SFO it's more like a severe event because rebellions in SFO does not give XP or money like in vanilla. For factions like Empire, it can spawn Chaos factions for them, Chaos Corruption, and also, depending also on the faction, can be a positive. For example, Greenskins rebellions are giving them positive effects because they are happy to fight someone.
And the Greenskin thing you mentioned is actually part of your recent update that you just released, which is the Enough for Everyone update.
Yes, the Enough for Everyone update is like a base that we want to work in future. Its version is 2.0 because we made some fundaments and want to work on them. One of those fundaments were rework of supply lines and Imperium power, so more player depend of his action way of increasing difficulty with your game. So we want to delay the moment that you are starting to steamroll in the game.
I think you really touched upon the biggest aspect, and probably one of the most successful ones of Grimhammer, is that it's a total package. Like you said, it's a curated mod package that touches everything, and you know it works the moment you install it.
Yes, that was my initial idea, to have just one button, you install it and it's done. And many people are asking for some of the SFO mechanics to be standalone, and from time to time we are doing them. With this one, there will be automons, and all the new supply line thing will be a standalone after we fix all the bugs with them.
And I don't think people appreciate just how difficult it is to take pieces of a mod and then break them off and be standalone.
Yes, this is a very hard task, and that's why only some very small mechanics are standalone. Because if you are making mechanic, like let's say we have Wayne Stones for Wood Elves, many people were asking for it. The Wayne Stones are linked with everything that we did for the Wood Elves. So if we would make them standalone, it would be only a shadow of its mechanic that's right now in SFO.
What's the next race that SFO is going to take a look at and really try and do something for?
Right now we have 3 updates planned for the game. So the next one will be Tomb Kings and Norska, 2 faction package. Then we'll have High Elves and Dark Elves. And the last one will be Vampire Counts and Vampire Coast.
Can you give us any hints about the kind of systems you guys are hoping to put in place?
The updates that are coming will be much smaller than the Beastmen and the Wood Elves, because those 2 factions needed the most help in the game, and we really don't like making changes for the changes, so we will be just tweaking stuff a little bit. As for the Tomb Kings, we will be making that all the special pyramids will be like even more special, with new units added from the lore. Also linking those pyramids will make something like a geomantic web, but in a different way. Don't want to spoil it. But as for the Norska, we have a very cool idea for this faction, because Norska right now have one of the biggest problems in the game, is that they have very low number of slots to build anything, because you are spending most of the slots on unit recruitment and not the money, and there's a loop when you don't have money or don't have a way to recruit new units. So with this new update, Norska won't need recruitment buildings to recruit any units.
You mentioned adding new units to the Tomb Kings, but in general, SFO doesn't dump a whole ton of new units into the game.
No, we are not adding a lot of units, and even in the past we removed several units that we added. Like when Creative Assembly is doing their DLC updates, we are removing SFO units, like recently Talons of Torkaleda, SFO unit from High Elves, was removed. We want that the new units to feel the same as their main faction mechanic, their feel, not like a thing that will fill the gaps of the rosters. So we are not going to add units like archers for the vampire counts, because they will just destroy the roster. Other things like very heavy infantry for the Empire, because Empire is that faction that doesn't have one strong unit, it have many units with many roles that synergize better. So some factions in SFO only have 1 unit or don't have units at all new, but others like Chaos just need them. And as you were saying, we really want to avoid a bloat of content and units.
And that's a really thin tightrope to walk right there, is trying to stay true to the spirit of that roster. At least previously, you guys have floated the idea of bringing in new legendary playable lords, like for the Wood Elves.
Yes, this idea sadly had to be scrapped right now. It was the moment that Sean Moskal was learning how to make custom models, and our Blood Tester model is one of those examples. But the models that we needed for the Wood Elves would be more complicated. In the process of it, we decided that it just won't be the quality we really desire from those models.
And a similar thing just happened with the banners with you guys. I mean, there's a quality standard you guys are looking for, and if it doesn't meet it, you don't release it.
The banners are a very good example, because we aim for releasing banners for all the factions on the release of this update. And for the first version, each faction had bannermen with 2-3 patterns max, and it was like for the whole faction. But then we decided to make that each individual unit, so orcs, big guns, black orcs, ROR, etc., all have their specific banners. So if you look right now on High Elves, there are over 20 different patterns, and all of those patterns are handmade. They are not copy pasta from game files or wiki pages. No, all of them were painted only for this mod.
How many members are there of the SFO team right now?
Right now there are around 10 people, but the number is very fluid, because modding is quite a hard thing and many people quit quite fast.
What's it like working with a large modding team, and can you walk us through the process of an update?
So overall, for almost 2 years I was doing SFO2 alone. From my experience, when too many things are done by one person, the mods usually collapse very fast. And for the past year, thanks to the support of patrons, we made expand on the team. And right now, everything is based on sections. Right now, teams, I call them. So we have a text team, the team that's only dedicated to making text for SFO updates, so new abilities, new events, new lords, things like that. The second is balance team, and the balance team is to temper my stupid ideas and usually test them. So when I'm doing something, I'm talking with the balance team and they say if the idea is for them something interesting or not. And the third team is like a main team. So we have several modders out there and artists like TheAshenTwo that's making graphics for SFO since the mod release.
This is your full-time profession though, isn't it? According to your Patreon, this is what you do.
Yes, this is my full-time job. Every time someone in Poland asks me what I'm doing for the living, I need to explain them, and they never believe.
And the idea of someone being a full-time modder and making a living off of a game created by a company is still a contentious point in the industry.
I don't know how's with other modders, but I, to have a Patreon, need to have also the strict rules, how it is made by Creative Assembly.
So how did you get into modding?
This is a very long question because I can say about myself that I am a mod addict. I really love mods in every possible game. I think it started with the first Mountain Blade game, Warband. I was not a modder back there, but I was just starting to tweak things. Then I think the next game I was starting to like a mod, it was Skyrim. But also it was more like a tweaking stuff, like I was thinking that in a mod the weapon is too powerful or too weak, things like this. And as for Total War Warhammer, I really like it because of the franchise that I like, so Warhammer Fantasy. But the problem for me, after I think a month or two of playing, I didn't like the most things, because in compared to tabletop, the game was very bare bones. And at the time there was no real good mod, like a full overhaul, because I really like when one mod is like a whole package, you just install it and you don't worry about anything, compatibility, etc. And I was doing sub mods for Radius mod at the time, because it was really only mod that was doing more than just simple reskin at the time. And after a while, Still Faith asked me if I want to join his team, because he started to make a mod that he wants to make for pro players, I would say, much more difficulty, but with better rewards and closer to the lore. I think this is the moment when I started to learn modding, like a full modding, not just trying to tweak some stuff.
It's funny, I think a lot of people get started in the modding that way. You know, you have a game that you love, but there's just one little thing you want to tweak just a little bit, or you want to make it better.
There's also a course when you are a modder and you are trying to play the game, you always think things that you should not, so you're making notes or modding while playing. So it's a funny course that I would not give it to anyone else.
I'm making these Warhammer videos and stuff now, and Total War videos. Since I started doing them and I'm writing the videos as I'm making them, I don't think I've completed a single campaign. Because as you said, you're just sitting there writing and working the whole time while you're playing. You can't turn it off.
When you know how stuff is done, you'll never look on it again as before.
Final question, I guess, really for you is, what are your predictions for the Warhammer 3 playable races?
I hope no ogres. This is my only prediction, because I hate ogres. Only faction that I really hate in fantasy Warhammer is ogres. If I could do one thing in the world right now, it would not settling on the war, all the wars, it would just erasing ogres from Warhammer.
Why? Why ogres? Why that much vitriol against ogres?
They don't fit the thing, they're just angry Mongols that want to eat. It's like adding, I don't know, Smurfs to Empire armies. They just don't fit anything for me.
So if ogres aren't included in the base 4, then who do you think it'll be?
This is a very tough question, and many people are asking me it. I think that Chaos Demons will be one of them. Not 2 warriors, but the Chaos Demons, as one faction with 4 separate legendary lords for specific gods. Then I think it will be Kislev, Dogs of War, and Chaos Dwarfs. I think if they want to aim with Warhammer 3 as they did with Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2, there should be 2 good factions and 2 bad factions.
because that's what sells and that's what people play.
With some of the very, very old leaks about Warhammer, there was a leak that Warhammer 3 will have only 4 factions and those would be a Chaos God. And I think if Creative Assembly is going to do it, but they won't do it, it would be the stupidest idea in the world, because buying only a game with bad factions would not sell it.
Currently, can we expect an SFO Grimhammer 3?
Yes. We have plans to make SFO Grimhammer 3. That's why we are expanding on the team right now to deliver SFO 3 as soon as possible. Very good example of expanding of the team is the recent update, because some people will be saying that we took almost 3 weeks to do it, but this is the biggest update we ever had, and 4 weeks for this update is nothing in compared to what we were doing in the past.
Any other things that we didn't talk about that you want to touch on as far as about the mod or your history with modding?
Where is Noob's Guide to Archaeon?
The Ever-Chosen? Oh god, that guy is such a tool. He's the most boring one.
I know he's boring, but he's so cool in the lore. He's one of my favorite characters.
Alright, convince me, man, because every time I read about Archaeon, I'm just like, oh, it's just the edgiest edge boy in the world.
Maybe that's why you need to make a video about him.
Thank you so much for talking with me today. Best of luck on your mod to come, and I can't recommend it enough to people.
Thank you very much, and I was glad to be here, and I hope we will do it again maybe in future.
SFO Grimhammer is available through the Steam Workshop, and I'll link to Venris and the SFO team's Patreon in the video description if you'd like to show them some support. I'd also like to thank my own supporters, WellForFoxSake, TheAshenTwo, and 897 Reese, who make videos like this possible, as well as Black Desert Online, whose sponsorship of this video allows me to make a donation to the SFO team. So claim your 7-day free trial in the video description below. If you have any suggestions for who you'd like to see featured next in this series, leave them in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.